Good morning, Hannah.
Good morning.
If you could quickly introduce your business name and where you are and what you specialize in.
Well, I'm Hannah Curtis. I am living in Boise, Idaho. I am a photographer who's worked in lots of different things, but right now my main focus is family, children, maternity, and newborn. And then I've done uh, focused a lot on training so that I can do newborns posed safely, and the maternity is just, I mean, with all of the amazing nature out here, how can you not put maternity out in the parks and the mountains and all those things? So,
What is the name of your business?
oh, sorry. My business is Alessi Photography. I started that in 2006 after I got married, and I decided I was debating, trying to decide what to. So I decided to keep my maiden name in my business. So that's how that started.
How did you decide to narrow down to the genres that you do now?
Well, I've done like I did weddings with for lots of friends and people, friends of friends, people I know, and then I started getting other clients just from word of mouth and things. And weddings are great, but it's a long day. It's not my like I wasn't super excited about a wedding anyway. And then in addition to that, I just felt like what, especially after having kids going and spending a whole weekend doing a wedding when it's not something that I'm really excited and passionate about. It's why do it, right?
Yeah.
Because really it's not fulfilling me and I'm not giving my clients exactly what they want. But and then in addition to that, I'm taking so much time away from my children. So, oh, there you can hear one. He's at the door.
How did you get into photography in general?
Well, my grandfather has like just a big old box of just, they had all the albums of, the tiny little square photos with the little white and the little edging. And I used to love just going through all those. And then as a child, my parents were so kind and got me, just the point and shoot little tiny camera, and it was film. So they let me go to town with that thing. And as a kid, I mean, I think about my kids right now, even if you try and like say, give them some of the advice, at the same time, they're just like, they're just waving it around, having a good time. So it's like, oh, I can't imagine. Like, I think of how much money they spent on developing those photos. But I'm very fortunate I don't have to do that with my children. They can go to town with the digital. But yeah, so I did that. And then after in 2006, I got my first DSLR. I actually went to school for business management. So yeah, and then decided to go ahead and start doing photography. So while I worked, I think like a lot of us, I worked full time and then did photography on the side for a while. And then after having children, quit the full time job and put more of a focus on photography. So now it's my one and only.
So if there was somebody looking for a family or maternity or newborn photographer, what advice would you give them from the photographer's perspective on how to find the right one for them?
Um, I would say mainly really look at those pictures and think about, is that really the style you want? Because I think it's very easy for us to just start looking at pictures online and go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then go, you get them back and you're like, oh wow, that's darker than I thought. Or oh wow, that is like almost pure white and not really what I was thinking. I wanted something a little more true to life. Um, so kind of look around your home and say, oh, like what am I drawn to? So I'd say really figure out your style, then go ahead and figure out, is this person someone who we really mesh with? Is this actually someone who I want to work with? Because you can get to a session and if a toddler is upset and the photographer has no idea what to do with a toddler, it can be really challenging. And as coming from a mom, it's very frustrating when you're like trying to keep everybody together. And my oldest is absolutely in love with nature. So, I mean, if you let her, if we're at a park, she'll go find some nature, and you're going, no, 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 don't do that. Your hair, all those things. And as a mom, we're trying to wrangle everybody. So if you have a photographer who doesn't know what to do and how to talk to the kids, ask, for this, that, or the other, you end up with, it can be a very stressful session. And so I would recommend making sure you mesh and making sure this is a person who can really, truly work with the kids, and not just kind of stand back and stare at them and say, everybody smile.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would recommend looking at that. And then of course, making sure you find someone that's within your price range and budget, but also really making sure that it's someone, you're valuing and you're paying for, because the reality is it's a job. It's our job, and it takes us, we have to pay for things. So making sure that you're picking someone and not just going with the cheapest and then expecting someone who would be most expensive.
Yeah.
So it's truly an investment. And then I always recommend looking at products too, making sure that this is something you're going to want to hang on your wall. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend. But really meshing with the photographer is a good thing, because those children are not going to just smile for anybody. And then the final thing would just be making sure that they're educated for what you're wanting, right? So like, for example, I put a lot of time in educating, learning about safety for newborns. Now, anybody can do a newborn, but there are certain ways you have to do that in order to keep the newborn safe. So learning those things, and not just picking any random photographer to go ahead and say, yes, wrap my baby, because you're putting that new baby in someone's hands, and we can wrap them, but we have to do it safely. And so we had to learn about having an assistant to make sure the baby's not, because babies do flop. And it's not, we typically think a newborn will just lay there, but no, they move. And so you have to remember to make sure that you have someone, depending on what it is. I mean, you also have to think about, like, when you're out in the wilderness, if a deer walks up, we have to be prepared for that. We have mountain lions, we have certain things, snakes, whatever. You don't want someone who's just going to say, yeah, stand on the edge of the mountain there. No, you want to make sure that it's someone who's thinking about your safety, as well as someone who's thinking about the best way to create these images and get you something amazing on your walls.
Well, where can people find you on social media, or what's the best way to get contact with you?
So all of my social media is at Alessi Photo. Simple, easy. So yeah, all my stuff: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, all the things, TikTok, all of them. So I have that. And then my website is alessiphotography.com.
Hey, easy enough.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for chatting.
Thank you. It was nice meeting you.